I never thought I'd be the kind of person to get an invitation that could ruin my week just by opening it. But there I was, staring at a gold-embossed envelope like it was a hand grenade. Inside was a neatly folded card that read, "You're invited to celebrate the wedding of Danielle Carter and Benjamin Hayes." For a second I thought it had to be a joke. Danielle, my ex. The same Danielle who 2 years ago had left me right after I lost my job, saying she needed stability. And Ben, the guy she swore was just a friend from work. It felt like someone had taken a rusty knife to my chest and twisted. The strangest part wasn't that she invited me. It was why. A note at the bottom, written in her familiar handwriting, read, "Would love for you to see how things turned out for us. D." It wasn't a wedding invite. It was a performance. She wanted me to see the show, her perfect life, her perfect husband, the one she apparently chose right with. I tossed the envelope on the table and laughed. The kind of laugh that hurts more than it heals. I should have thrown it away. I should have deleted every reminder of her from my phone and moved on. But instead, that tiny note kept flashing in my mind. See how things turned out for us. She wanted me to see. Fine. I'd give her a show she wouldn't forget. The weeks leading up to the wedding were a blur of mixed emotions. Anger, curiosity, and if I'm being honest, a bit of pettiness. My best friend Marcus was the first person I told. "You're not seriously going, are you?" he asked, sipping his beer. "I might," I said. "Just to prove I'm not broken." He raised an eyebrow. "Man, that's not proving anything. That's feeding the fire." "Maybe," I said. "But sometimes, feeding the fire is the only way to watch it burn out." Marcus shook his head, but he grinned. "If you're gonna go, at least don't go alone. You need a date. Someone who'll make her think you're living your best life." That's when the idea hit me. Date. Not just anyone, but someone who'd make Danielle second-guess everything. It took a few days, but the perfect name fell right into my lap. Maya Sanders. Maya was Ben's ex. They'd dated for years before Danielle ever met him. The breakup had been brutal. He dumped her for Danielle and never looked back. We weren't close, but we'd crossed paths a few times. She was smart, confident, and the kind of woman people noticed when she entered a room. So I called her. When I explained the situation, there was a pause, then a quiet laugh. "So, you're saying you want me to be your +1 to his wedding?" "Exactly." Her laughter grew. "That's either insane or brilliant. I'm in." And just like that, it became a plan. Not revenge exactly, but something close. Closure, maybe. The day of the wedding crept closer, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't about Danielle anymore. It was about me proving that I'd moved on, that I wasn't the man she left behind. But I'd soon learn that walking into that wedding wasn't going to give me closure. It was going to reopen every wound I'd buried. And by the end of that night, someone else would walk away from that wedding heartbroken, and it wouldn't be me. The morning of the wedding came faster than I expected. I woke up to sunlight filtering through the blinds and a dull knot in my stomach, the kind that told me I was walking into something messy. Maya texted right on time. "Maya. On my way. You ready to make an entrance?" Me. Born ready. Truthfully, I wasn't. My confidence was a thin mask covering a storm of nerves, but I wasn't about to back out now. When Maya arrived, I nearly forgot how to breathe. She wore a deep navy dress that somehow managed to look both elegant and lethal. Her hair fell in soft waves, and the faint smirk on her lips said she knew exactly what kind of chaos we were about to cause. "Wow," I said. "You're perfect." She arched an eyebrow. "You sound surprised." "Not surprised," I replied. "Just wondering if Ben will survive seeing you." He grinned. "Let's hope not." The venue was a sun-drenched countryside estate. Exactly the kind of place Danielle would pick. Everything screamed luxury and control. White roses, gold-trimmed table settings, and a jazz trio playing soft background music. Heads turned the second we walked in. Not just because of Maya, though honestly she looked like she owned the room, but because everyone there knew the history. Danielle's ex walking in with Ben's ex wasn't just gossip. It was dynamite. I spotted Danielle across the room almost instantly. She looked like a magazine cover, lace gown, perfect curls, that same poised smile she'd worn the day she broke up with me. But when her eyes landed on me and then shifted to Maya, the smile cracked. For the first time in years I had the upper hand. Maya leaned in close and whispered, "She's glaring holes through me." "Good," I murmured. "Let her." Ben appeared beside Danielle, beaming like a man who thought he had everything. His expression faltered when he noticed who I was with. I almost felt bad for him, almost. Danielle recovered quickly, gliding toward us with that practiced grace of hers. "Wow," she said, voice sweet and sharp all at once. "You actually came." Smiled. "Wouldn't miss it. It's not every day you get to see your ex tie the knot." Her eyes flicked to Maya. "And you brought company." Maya extended a hand, all charm. "We've met, remember? Briefly. Before you two started dating." The flicker of panic in Danielle's eyes was subtle but there. "Of course," she said, forcing a laugh. "Small world." "Smaller than you think," Maya replied smoothly. The tension between the four of us could have been cut with a knife. I could feel every guest pretending not to watch, whispering behind champagne glasses. Danielle turned to me with that old condescending tone. "You look well, truly. I'm glad you've found peace." "Oh, I'm great," I said. "Life's been surprisingly kind since you left." Her smile faltered again, just a flicker, but I caught it. "Victory." We took our seats near the back as the ceremony began. Maya squeezed my hand under the table, her voice low. "You realize she's about to combust, right?" "I'd say she's halfway there," I said, trying not to smile. But as the vows started and I saw the way Ben looked at Danielle, something unexpected hit me. For all the drama, for all the bitterness, I didn't feel hate anymore, just emptiness. And somewhere deep down, I started to wonder if maybe Danielle wasn't the only one playing a game that day. Because when the best man stood to give his speech later, one secret slipped out that would turn that perfect wedding into absolute chaos. By the time the ceremony ended, everyone was buzzing with that post-vow glow. Champagne, laughter, the illusion that love conquers all. I stood near the bar, pretending to be fascinated by the drink menu while trying to avoid Danielle's death glares. Maya leaned beside me, swirling her drink. "You realize you've caused a small scandal, right?" "Small," said. "Half the guests are probably placing bets on whether I'll throw a drink at her before dinner." Maya smirked. "Well, at least we're entertaining." She wasn't wrong. Every time I caught Danielle's eye, she'd look away too quickly, like I was an echo of a mistake she wished she could erase. Ben, on the other hand, was doing his best impression of a man pretending not to notice the tension burning holes in the air. Dinner passed in a blur of polite small talk and fake smiles. I was just starting to feel like I might make it through the night without incident when the best man stood up to give his toast. His name was Tyler, Ben's college roommate. He had that smug energy of a guy who loved having a microphone. He raised his glass. "First off, congrats to Ben and Danielle. Beautiful couple, beautiful day. Ben, you really outdid yourself this time." A few polite laughs rippled through the room. Danielle beamed, basking in the attention. Tyler went on, his words slurring just slightly. "You know, Ben's always had a complicated love life. But when he met Danielle, he told me something I'll never forget. He said, 'She reminds me of someone I used to know, but this time I'll do it right.'" The room went still. Danielle's smile froze. Maya's brow furrowed. And me. My stomach dropped. Tyler chuckled, oblivious to the minefield he'd just stepped on. "What was her name again, Ben?" "All right. Maya." A collective gasp rippled through the room. I felt Maya stiffen beside me. Danielle's head snapped toward her husband. "What is he talking about?" Ben's face went pale. "Tyler, maybe that's enough." "Oh, come on," Tyler said, grinning. "You told me yourself. You said you didn't really get over her until you met Danielle. It's sweet, in a weird full-circle kind of way." The silence that followed was the kind that hurt to breathe in. Danielle stood slowly, her hands trembling. "You said I was different," she whispered. "You said she was just the past." Maya's expression didn't change, but I saw the flash of vindication in her eyes. "Guess old habits die hard." Ben stammered. "It's not what it sounds like." "Oh, I think it's exactly what it sounds like," Danielle cut in, her voice rising. "You replaced her with me. You didn't fall in love. You recycled it." Half the guests were already recording. Phones glimmered like fireflies in the candlelight. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. Part of me, the petty part, felt satisfied. But the rest just felt sad. The kind of sadness that comes when you realize no one really wins. Ben reached for Danielle's hand, but she pulled back like he'd burned her. "You humiliated me," she hissed. "In front of everyone." Maya turned to me, voice low. "You wanted a show. Well, this is one for the ages. Before I could respond, Danielle's champagne glass shattered against the floor. And just when I thought the night couldn't fall apart any further, Danielle turned toward me, eyes blazing, and said something that would drag me right into the wreckage. The sound of glass hitting marble rang through the hall like a gunshot. Every conversation stopped. All eyes locked on Danielle as she stood there, trembling, clutching the stem of what was left of her champagne flute. Her gaze darted between Ben, Maya, and then finally me. "Oh, you must be loving this," she spat, her voice shaking but loud enough to echo through the room. "You came here to rub it in, didn't you?" I raised my hands slightly. "Danielle, take a breath. Don't you dare," she snapped. "You couldn't stand seeing me happy, so you brought her, his ex, just to ruin my wedding." I could feel hundreds of eyes burning into us. Maya's voice stayed calm, but her jaw tightened. "You don't need any help ruining it, Danielle. Your groom did that all by himself." Gasps rippled through the room again. Danielle's face went red, then pale. She turned to Ben. "Is it true? Did you really say that?" Ben looked like a man trying to disappear into the carpet. "I didn't mean it like that," he stammered. "It was a joke. Tyler twisted it." "Don't you dare blame him," she said, voice cracking. "You said it because you meant it. You never stopped comparing us." Her tears smudged her makeup, turning the picture-perfect bride into a ghost of the woman I used to know. Furious, fragile, and broken all at once. The crowd started whispering, phones still raised, recording every second of her unraveling. I wanted to leave, but my feet wouldn't move. She looked at me again, eyes wet. "You're smiling. Why are you smiling?" "I'm not," I said softly. "Believe it or not, I didn't come here to hurt you." She laughed bitterly. "Please. You think I don't see it? You couldn't stand that I moved on." Maya stepped forward. "Danielle, maybe stop blaming everyone else and start looking at what's right in front of you." That pushed her over the edge. "You think you're better than me? He left you for me, remember?" Maya's expression hardened. "Yeah, and look how well that turned out." Another round of gasps. Someone whispered, "Is this real?" And someone else whispered, "This is better than TV." Danielle's hands were trembling so badly she almost dropped the broken glass again. Ben reached out to steady her, but she shoved him away. "Don't touch me," she said through gritted teeth. "You don't love me. You never did." The silence that followed was heavy, like the moment before a storm breaks. Finally Ben whispered, "Maybe you're right." It was like watching a house of cards collapse. Danielle's breath hitched, and she looked around the room like she was searching for something. Anything to hold on to. Her eyes landed on me one last time. "I hope you're happy," she said quietly. "You came here to watch me fall apart, and you got exactly what you wanted." I wanted to tell her she was wrong, that I hadn't wanted this, not really, but the words wouldn't come. Maybe because a part of me knew she wasn't entirely wrong. She turned and walked out of the hall, the train of her wedding dress dragging like a torn flag behind her. The whispers turned into chaos. Guests arguing, servers frozen, Ben staring into space like he'd just woken up from a dream that turned into a nightmare. Maya slipped her arm through mine. "We should go before someone asks for an encore." I nodded numbly. "Yeah." But as we walked toward the exit, a photographer rushed past us, camera still recording, following Danielle out the door. I thought the drama would end when we left that hall. But by the next morning, the entire internet had turned her breakdown into a headline. And my face was in every picture. The first thing I heard when I woke up was my phone vibrating non-stop. Dozens of notifications, messages from numbers I didn't recognize, and a flood of links. Maya texted first. "Maya, you've seen it, right?" "Me know what?" Maya typed Danielle wedding meltdown into any social feed. I didn't have to. The thumbnail alone told me everything. The still frame of Danielle in her wedding gown, mascara streaking down her cheeks, frozen mid-shout. Behind her, half turned toward the camera, was me. My name wasn't mentioned in the headlines, but the comments filled in the blanks fast. "That's her ex. He brought the groom's ex. Iconic. The revenge plan of the decade." Felt sick. It was supposed to be petty satisfaction, not a public spectacle. By mid-morning, reporters were calling. My inbox exploded with interview requests and sponsorship offers. Someone even tagged my art page with a caption that read, "The man who ruined a wedding and didn't flinch." Marcus called, laughing so hard he could barely talk. "Dude, you broke the internet." "It's not funny," I said. Come on, man, you didn't post it. No, I replied. But I caused it. There was a long pause before he said quietly, You okay? I wasn't sure. That afternoon I met Maya at a coffee shop far from downtown. She'd gone viral too. Half the posts painted her as a feminist icon, the other half as a homewrecker. She slid her phone across the table. They're offering me money to tell my side. And will you? She shook her head. No point. The internet doesn't want the truth. It wants a headline. He nodded. Same reason Danielle will never recover from this. Maya looked out the window. You think she deserved it? I thought for a long moment. No, not like this. We sat in silence. Two accidental villains in a story we hadn't meant to write. Finally Maya said, Maybe this is what closure looks like, ugly and loud. Or maybe it's just noise, I said. Real closure is when you stop caring how it looks. She smiled faintly. Maybe we'll get there someday. 2 days later a private number called. Against my better judgment, I answered. It was Danielle. Her voice was hoarse. You happy now? No, I said quietly. I never wanted this. Neither did I, she whispered. But maybe we both needed to see what we'd become. There was nothing else to say. After a moment she hung up. I sat there staring at the screen until it dimmed, realizing that for the first time in years, I didn't feel anger, just relief. A month later the buzz had died down. The world had moved on to new scandals, new disasters. I deleted the last of the wedding photos from my phone. Maya texted me one last time. Maya. Next time we crash a wedding, let's at least get paid for it. I replied with a single emoji, face with tears of joy, and that was the end of it. Life slipped quietly back to normal. Or something close to it. That night I walked past the mailbox outside my apartment. A single envelope sat inside. No return address, just my name written in sharp, familiar handwriting. Inside was a photograph of me and Maya at the wedding. On the back, in looping cursive, someone had written, You were right. The show never ends. I looked around the empty street, half expecting to see someone watching. Nothing. Just the quiet hum of streetlights. I tore the picture in half and let the pieces scatter into the wind. Maybe the show never ends, but at least I finally stopped being part of it.